This is the second video to section 7.1. We'll continue with the central limit theorem. Let's take a look at some old notation and some new notation. Right here, we have the mean of x and the standard deviation of the random variable of x. However, when we start collecting the means and standard deviations of samples, we have notation for the mean of the sample means and the standard deviation of the sample means. In short, the mean of our sample means can be written like so. Below, we have a quick guide to how to use your graphing calculator to find our normal CDFs and inverse norms. We'll also have a video on this as well. Consider example 2. The length of time it takes for a group of students to take the SAT is normally distributed with a mean of 2.5 and a standard deviation of 0.25 and a sample size of 60. So what is the mean? What is the standard deviation of the sampling distribution? The mean, notice, is the exact same as the mean of the original distribution. So the mean of the sampling distribution will also be 2.5, but the standard deviation of our sampling distribution will be our original standard deviation divided by the square root of our sample size. In letter B, we're asked to find the probability that the sample mean is between 2 and 3 hours. So if we were to write this, we'd have something that looks like this. And using our calculator, our keystrokes would look like this, and we'd end up getting an answer of about 0.0607. In letter C, we're asked to find the 85th percentile of the distribution of the 60 students' test time. So what we could do here is we could use our inverse norm function on our calculator and type in the mean, the standard deviation, into our calculator, and we'd get about 2.53 hours. In example 3 on the next page, we learn about the average farm size in the U.S. in 1940, and it's 174 acres. Let's say it's normally distributed and has a standard deviation of 55 acres. And we have a sample size of 38. Now, what would the random variable be? That would be the size of a U.S. farm in 1940. Go ahead and see if you are able to fill part B out. This is a normal distribution with a mean of 174 and a standard deviation of 55. So what does this mean in words? Our X bar here is going to be the average size of a U.S. farm as estimated from a sample of 38 in acres. So if we would like to write the distribution of our samples, our mean will still be the same, 174, but our standard deviation is going to be different. In letter E, we're asked to find the probability that an individual farm has a size of at least 200 acres. So for this, we'll use our normal CDF function with a mean of 200, a minimum of 200 going on to infinity. So I put in just a large number into the calculator with a mean of 174 and a standard deviation of 55. And we should get about 0.318. If we want to look at a graph of this, we'd have something that looks like this, where we know we're looking at 200 or more. And that does look to be about 31% of the area that's shaded under the normal curve. In letter F, we're asked to find the probability that the average of the 38 farms had a size of at least 200 acres. So in this case, we want to know the probability that our sample means will be greater than or equal to 200. Using our calculator, we would type in this here, with the only difference being that for our standard deviation, we would write this instead. When we do this, we'd come out with about 0.0018. Let's take a look at a graph of this as well. We have a very, very small percentage being greater than or equal to 200. Why is there such a difference in part E and part F? When we're considering just the mean of a sample, it would not be that unlikely for an individual farmer to have a lot size of at least 200 acres. However, it would be very unlikely that all 38 samples would have an average that's greater than or equal to 200. And that's the end of our second video for section 7.1.